Hello, everybody. Anthony Crane here with Pocket Coach. And today we're going to cover a practice known as architecture sketching, another product accelerator here. So let's go ahead and start the 5-minute timer and see how far we get. I think we might be able to do this one in 5. Okay, so the problem here is everybody in the organization needs to understand the product architecture, not just architects. And architects are notoriously not good at explaining it. They're very known to say things like, it's too complicated for you to understand. Not acceptable. Everybody, including the business, needs to understand. And when you have that state, you will find incredible reuse opportunities. I have one case study where we saved $100,000 on a $300,000 project because someone in the business recognized the architecture from another thing that they were working on and said, hey, I think another team just did this. And so they went to that other team and they were able to reuse 30% of the scope of the project. So very big deal when the business can understand it. And there is ways to do it. And that's what this practice will tell you. Architecture sketch, very lightweight. All right, so hypothesis, an architecture sketch can help every role better understand the purpose and names of our architectural components and therefore lead to better chances of reuse. The time frame, 20 minutes. So this is a very quick one. So there is no pivot or persevere. 20 minutes later, you'll have already done it and you'll know whether it works or not as you use it. Typical outcomes, you should see an increase in reuse. You should see a decrease in cost of development because of that reuse. And finally, skill growth. In order to really say you've done this one, you have created an architecture sketch for your product. So we'll take a look at that. Oh, finally, for those of you who are into it, my shirt today is the estrella oscura, which means dark star. So there you have it. There's an Aztec calendar on the back. Maybe that's why. All right. So 3.5 minutes left. Let's get into this. So here we have the architecture sketching overview. And you can see it's quite simple. There's only 3 bullets involved. You sketch the architecture, you keep it simple, and you get complicated later. And here's the key. Here's the trick to the entire practice. You need to put both the purpose and the name of each component on your diagram. So the diagram should be simple, 7 plus or minus 3. You've heard that before for most visual things. And so the purpose of each element is far more important than the name of each element. And this also will help us to change stuff out in the future. So let's take a look at some examples here. So here, this is an actual example. And what we want them to do is put the name in the parentheses and the purpose outside. In this case, in this example, it's flipped. They got it backwards. So you can see here, it says ITAM right here. And then in parentheses, it says asset management. What this should say is asset management. And then in parentheses, ITAM. That way later, if they want to use something else for asset management, they just switch that out. But the parentheses change, not the main name. Same thing here. Endpoint patching is the purpose. Big fix is the name of the particular product or solution. Configuration management, and again, in parentheses, ITNCM, so they can use a different config management tool in the future, swapping it out. So this leads you to more flexible thinking in the future, which is agile, right? So this is an example. Now, also notice that a lot of these things are missing altogether. They have workflow and reporting, but they're missing the tool. IT compliance, again, missing the tool. So here, they've put the name of the purpose, but they've left out the technology. So when you're doing architectural sketching, you want the purpose of each element in your architecture as well as the technology all in one, with the purpose being the primary thing your eye draws in. All right. Example 2, we need better purposes and better technologies here. But you can see that this is a sketch, so it's very lightweight, but APN, ARC, credit card, ACH, what are these things? Their purposes are not clear. Their technologies are not clear. Mainframe, okay, I got the technology, but what's the purpose? What is it doing? So here, that should be in parentheses, small font, and the purpose that we're using the mainframe for is what's missing from this diagram. SAP application, okay, technology, but what's the purpose? What are we using SAP for? A batch process, again, technology, what is the purpose of it? Down here, this is kind of interesting. This is the new RI control screen, and they talk about the code, the reason, the description. So here we have some kind of behavioral stuff sneaking in. Can't tell what technology they're using here as well. So unless it's mainframe, right? Which some kind of screen, I don't know. Last one, this one is done correctly, but it's not a technology. It's a transformation, so an agile transformation. You can see here, these 2 yellow ones. These are both, the technologies are MS Teams. One part, we're using MS Teams for content development. We're also using it for production content. Over here in green, this is an agile mindset exercises and agile mindset, but it's also being done in MS Teams. So again, we can see the technology, but now we're using it for a completely different reason. Over here, we're using certain channels. Over here, we're using different technologies. Communities of practice, also in MS Teams. And then over here in blue, we have work management, status reporting, agile team intake, and portfolio Kanban. And you can see Jira, 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 and Jira. So we're using Jira for these things. So we're using Jira for 4 different things. So it's getting closer to the spirit of it, where your purpose isn't big and your technologies are small. So that is it. In 5 minutes, architecture sketching. It is a very simple practice, and yet I have seen it save 30% of a scope of a project. And you're going to see more and more of that. So architecture sketching, try it out for your product. My name is Anthony Crane. I hope you enjoyed this Pocket Coach video.